Ba, 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 ba. We're live. Goodness me. That was quick. Let's fix this. Interact. Slowly scroll this sucker down and then boom, boom. Look at that. Oh, too far. Oh. How's that? More or less beautiful. Jazza man, how's it going? Hey, Merry Christmas. How's the weather? Mike man, how's it going? Andrew reckons Leinster by a whopping 15. Luke, it is 8:35 in the morning. So I have crawled out of bed and had my breakfast and getting ready to watch some rugby. First time I've done a live stream since the November games, to be fair, so this one figured like a good one to do. It's always a big game. Munster look like they got a lot of injuries though. Mike is a Munster fan, hoping Munster can give it a go. Well, man, if there's like any team you guys lift for, surely it's Leinster. Jez is watching it on Irish TV. Well, I know Jez is an Ulster fan, so Jez, I heard you. Do you have a preference for this one, or are you just hoping for a good game? Andy's on holiday in the US, not sure where you could get it. Yeah, sometimes I used to use VPN for TG4, but it always used to. They started blocking the things, which was a pity. Richard, man, how's it going? I've just had a kick-off on my stream, so I hope you guys have got the game going. $26,000 fans there, pretty good crowd. Flashing man, how's it going? Happy holidays. 25 seconds into Munster against Leinster. It's 8:37 in the morning here at NZ on a Saturday. My wife wants to take the kids to go pick some strawberries later, but I figure I start my day with a bit of festive season, Munster and Leinster. Always a cracker. Otherwise, Andy, those dodgy sites in a pinch, right? If you look on Reddit, there'll be a link somewhere. But you're looking forward to Christmas finishing and get back to the rugby, Mr. Walshman. Yeah, it's been... I was going to watch the Dragons and Cardiff game the other day, but the kickoff time was just a couple hours earlier and I was feeling still a bit festive, so I didn't watch it. But apparently I missed a good game. Game's on TG4, also on Premier Sports 2. There you go. Fleshing's getting the whiskey down, and here I am with water. Sad but true. Munster got themselves an early penalty. We're a minute and 39 on the clock. What are Munster going to do here? There's a lot of fans in that crowd. Scarlets Ospreys game broke your heart. Yeah, that one, like many games in the last round, went right down to the wire. Ooh, they're going for touch. Is that... Oh, I was going to say, is that Ben Whitehouse? No, it's Sam Grove White. He's given Munster a preemptive warning about obstruction at line-out time, but it doesn't matter because Munster have lost the line-out. Hey, goodness me. Jezza would pick Munster if he had to as an Ulster fan, but There's more thinking about tomorrow's game against Connacht. Yeah, fair, man. Kieran, mate, how's it going? Hope you guys all had a good festive season. Leinster cannot get out of their own end at the moment, but Munster have just kicked it dead. Billy Burns. That'll do him a favour. Will we ever see the rambling man who wears a cap on these streams? I have done the odd stream with Tony before, usually Super Rugby ones. Yeah, so they can be a bit of something different. Been a while, sorry to drop a Patreon. No worries, Kieran, man. People come and go from Patreon all the time. It just kind of depends on where people are at. So that's all good, bro. Tony ain't getting up this time for a URC game. Yeah, that's probably true as well. Like, I don't usually do internationals at his place because I like to do the reviews straight after the game. Super Rugby, I do a weekly wrap-up, so I can kind of do the live stream at his place and then just chill for a while if we've been drinking. Did you catch the Dragons v Cardiff game? I saw the result. I saw the highlights. I feel like because it was on at 6:30 for me, I think yesterday. I'm losing track of time with the holidays, but no, I should have got out of bed, but I didn't. So yeah, that was me. Cheers! It also had to freeze his Patreon for a while, but it's all good. Like I said, Patreon's kind of above and beyond the Call of Duty anyway, so people come and go from there all the time. Oh, Rian Lowe, man. How's it going? 2CGD winner himself. Oh, here we go. There goes Luke McGrath. Prendergast, Headshaw. That's forward by a mile. Way forward. Goodness me, that's a chance going to Beacon. Brian, hi from Durban, South Africa. Please give the commentary in Chinese. See, Brian is a regular commentator on my other channel, 2 Cents on Tour. That's why you know I speak a bit of Chinese, eh? My rugby Chinese might struggle. On the couch enjoying leftover braai meat. Yeah, that's fair enough. There's been a fair few leftovers in this house as well, but they're mostly gone by now, actually. I imagine South African Christmas is somewhat like New Zealand Christmas in that it is a summer Christmas, so barbecues and whatnot are the order of the day. Mr. Washman, are there any YouTube channels you'd like to collab with that you haven't yet? I am remarkably slack on collaborating with anybody. I think I'm just inherently quite lazy. So I don't think... Have I ever reached out to anyone? Mostly if I've done a collaboration, it's because somebody's reached out to me and I've been like, okay, I'll do that. I probably should. The most recent one was Egg Chasers. We were talking on WhatsApp for a while about doing something ahead of the New Zealand-England series, which is a long time ago now. That sort of shows you how long ago it was. But I think he ended up going to South Africa, so we kind of never ended up doing anything because he was busy. Scrum penalty to Leinster. What are they going to do? Kiwi lads, yeah, Kiwi lads, old Hamish is a cracking one. I've done stuff with the Rugby Analyst years ago. Did stuff with Gareth Mason before he passed away. He was the easiest guy to talk to because he's just a real natural conversationalist. That was back during the last Lions tour, which shows you how long ago that was. Been on, is it On the Mark or From the Mark Rugby? He's an Irish dude who lives in Spain. Done a bit for his channel a couple of times. Rugby Itch. But you haven't done anything for ages. Right, Leinster sneaky. We line up move. Stop short. Kelleher. Are they going to give the backs the ball? I doubt it. Not for a while. Van der Fleer. Oh, McGrath. Try time. Man, that's put a dampener on the crowd noise. Man, Luke McGrath's a good player. I feel like he's been a bit unlucky at international level, but hey, that is what it is. Love to see you on the Coco show. Tony would do well there, I'm sure. I remember seeing Wildcard when he was a guest. That was hilarious. Seven 0 Leinster, too easy. Do you teach English online to Chinese students? You make a great teacher, Brian. I used to, years ago. I was a teacher, many years ago, back in my 20s. So yeah, that's why I was in China for all those years. I was teaching English because I didn't want to get a real job, basically. So yeah, that was good. Good use of my 20s anyway. Probably should have knuckled down, got a job and got a mortgage earlier, but hey, I lived life for a while. What can I say? Do you bet on rugby? Yeah, sometimes, but I'm also very stingy, so I tend to wait until our local bookmaker sends me some kind of offer, like, hey, if you put some money on your account, we'll give you some free money, and I like to use that free money. So what can I say? How long is it a process to become an English teacher? Well, I did it a long time ago. I finished university in like 2005. And back in those days, to go to China, you just needed a degree, any degree. I didn't even need to be qualified. So I was a terrible teacher at first because I was basically learning on the job. So yeah, the process was very quick. Basically apply for a job, get the job, and go start teaching. I think they were a bit, because China's economy's come a long way in the time since. I was getting paid peanuts back in those days. I was getting literally paid a few $100, I think, American a month. Maybe $500 a month or something American. I was getting paid nothing, but locally in a small town in China, I was getting paid pretty well. So I was getting paid triple what the local teachers were anyway. But yeah, I think because the Chinese economy's grown a lot since then, and the pay for foreign teachers has grown a lot, they've got a lot more higher requirements these days, put it that way. Man, Munster could use a score and reply. They're a bunch of phases. They got advantage. Cross kick. Here goes Gavin Coombs. What the hell happened there? Think of those poor Chinese kids. I was a terrible teacher to start with. Billy Burns with the cross kick. Bounces to Gavin Coombs. Osborne with the cover tackle and then pops from the deck straight into the knees. Goodness me. Take a drink every time Jimmy O'Brien goes from hot to cold. Yeah. My brother went over to teach midway through his degree just before COVID. You can actually make pretty good money over there these days. Like if you go to a big city, you can make proper wages. Oh man, it's another chance gone to begging for Munster. Their mall has just been shut straight down. Leinster defence is so strong, Rian. You're not wrong. The bit they'll never forget their 7-foot teacher, Richard. Interestingly, Richard, in 2005-06, I was teaching some middle school kids. So those kids would have been, how old? Like 10? No, a little bit older. 12? They were still kids though. Just pre-teens. And then several years later, I was still teaching over there, but I'd moved on to a university job. And one of those kids looked bloody familiar, and I looked up my old photos, because I took photos with my classes. I taught that kid when he was a middle school kid. Now he's a university student, and he didn't flippin' remember me at all. I remembered him. I had thousands of kids I was teaching, and I remembered his face. He didn't remember me, so you'd think he would. But no, he didn't remember Jack. Hey, Munster just knocked it on. Oh, man. Is Peter Steph du Toit quietly the greatest of this generation? He's very, very good. Yeah. He doesn't get the hype that Antoine Dupont gets, but he's an incredible player. They've been dominating the league for 3 years straight and have nothing to show for it. Somehow think they still... What? I think they will still somehow find a way not to win the URC. Yeah, that's just straight true, isn't it? They've gone from basically winning the Pro 14 every year to not being able to pick up a URC just yet. You were just another cog in the hyper-competitive education system. Yeah, basically. Feel sorry for those Chinese kids. They have it very busy. At least the weather looks pretty good in Limerick at the moment. It looks kind of brisk, but it's not raining. It doesn't look too windy. Leinster get the user call from that scrum. I think they wanted a penalty. Prendergast holds it up. Osborne. Here goes Jimmy O'Brien. And he's in touch. I'm going to be watching him since that hot cold comment. Etzebeth just seems to play every game. Has he ever been injured, Richard? He's an interesting one that, I remember there was a while when he was playing for the Stormers that like he would miss virtually entire seasons with the Stormers, but still always be ready for the Springboks. There's just something about the way he would time his injuries. Always Springbok ready, but missed a lot of games from for a club perspective. NC's all the way over at Cambridge in the UK. How's it going, mate? How's the weather? We have a Cambridge here in New Zealand, by the way. It's just kind of central North Island town. Slightly affluent kind of farming town. I know some people who moved to the Middle East to teach, they said they were all spoiled beyond belief. You mean the teachers or the students? I assume you mean the students. Leinster have to win something this year. It's absolutely crushing failure for all their resources. Yeah, you would think there's a bare minimum of a URC title. But they've had their eyes on the bloody next star on the jersey for so long, it feels like it's been almost a bit of a distraction. Oh. Eben is currently injured, doesn't play club footy. There you go. Apparently what I said was true. Should be playing for the Sharks. Do New Zealand Super Rugby teams regret not playing SA teams? Yeah, that's a debate that's still going on, eh? I feel like the players who were in the old Super Rugby certainly talk about it like it's a big thing that they miss. Oh, Prendergast isolated. Surely he gets turned over. He does. That's got the crowd alive. They need to get something from this. Munster, come on. They've had some chances. But this new generation of Super Rugby players haven't played in South Africa, right? All the guys kind of who made their All Blacks debuts this year from Super Rugby, they never played it. Gareth is from on the Isle of Anglesey, Wales. How's it going, man? The students, rich kids, fair enough, Jezza. Yeah, so a lot of Chinese kids are spoiled as well, but it depends, because China's a real mix of, like, rich and poor. Like, the rich are unbelievably rich, but there's plenty of poor kids. I was never teaching... My last job, I was teaching at a private school, so they were kind of pretty wealthy. But I taught a lot of public schools, universities, and they were just normal kids. A lot of them from rural backgrounds and stuff, so they were pretty head screwed on kind of thing. But we're talking a long time ago now. That was 20 years ago. Advantage for Munster. You got to spin it. Oh, they're going to go for the penalty straight away offside. All the rich people's kids are studying in London. Yeah, Richard, that's like that final job I had was a private school, not like a private high school or anything. It was a private school just for teaching English, and those kids were all taking IELTS to go abroad, basically, because they were rich. Real rich. 5 metre tap and go from Munster. Need a score. 100% need a score. This is like their third or fourth chance down Leinster's 22. There's a Leinster body slowly rolling away from that. Where the ball's available. Slow ball. Someone's just lost the scrum cap. The commentator just said the same thing as me. That was eerie. Oh, man. Another advantage. Leinster got to be careful. They're going to end up with someone in the bin. Oh, they'll take through. Oh, they've lost that again. Come on. Yeah, they got to have a talk about these penalties. I think Super Rugby is far better for player welfare. They've just had a month or two off. That's true. The one thing about the way the South African guys have got it at the moment, and the Argentinian guys as well, they're basically full year round. So it's up to the coaches of both their clubs and their international coaches to manage their breaks. They need a break. Like the Super Rugby guys are on holiday right now. They might be doing preseason, but they're not playing. They're not playing rugby. They've had a break. Is that another advantage? There's a card coming out, surely. Kelleher? Ryan? Oz? Oh, Tommy O'Brien. I thought he was an Osborne. Ah, they're held up. Man. Bloody hell. Munster have had some chances. Ringrose just gets under him. New rules force South African players to take 6 or 8 week breaks somewhere in the year. Yeah, I mean, the good thing about that is I'm assuming that means the guys based in South Africa, right? Like they'll have less control over the guys who are playing in France or Japan or whatever, but Japanese season's not as long. But yeah, if they can get the coaches on board with giving the guys a break, it makes sense. But it's something they have to manage. There's no like off season per se. Has NZ ever had an Eben? We've had some pretty good locks. Different. I mean, Retallick got World Player of the Year. He was virtually unplayable one of those years. URC players basically don't play the Curry Cup. That makes sense. But doesn't the Curry Cup overlap with some international rugby? Whitelock as well, yeah. I feel like Retallick is more Eben than Whitelock is. I feel like Whitelock is more... not Bucky's. Victor. Festive been playing since December without any breaks, and he's a Springbok, yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one. I think the Argentinian guys have got it even worse because they don't have like basically any guys playing domestically who play for the Pumas. Retallick never had Eben athleticism, but he was intimidating and tough. Yeah, Eben is a freak who gets like custom made dumbbells. Don't know if anybody quite has done that, but yeah, Retallick's also another freak. Eben looks like a dumbbell. How old Eben must be in his early 30s now, right? Think there are Argentine players playing in the new Super Rugby Americas, according to America's Rugby News. I know the lock Molina. He was playing for like Dogos or one of the Argentinian clubs, but once he played for the Pumas, he got picked up by Exeter. So I know he's playing his rugby in Europe now. It's another advantage at scrum time for Leinster. Man, Osborne just got smoked. Imagine seeing a prop golf injured and to be replaced by Andrew Porter. Yeah, that's rough. Oh yeah, that's just shoulder on shoulder. Chest. Well, Leinster might not have had a lot of territory, but geez, their scrum's doing alright. Crowds kind of lost a bit of their oomph after that last big defensive set as well. Did you get any good rugby-related Christmas gifts? That's all I get now, Rian asks. This year, my wife was determined that I not get something rugby-related. I don't know why. So she got me a new wallet. I've been using my old wallet for over a decade, so I guess I was overdue a wallet. And my parents did get me a Highlanders jacket, end of season from last season. Funnily enough, the Highlanders had heaps of gear left over. I don't know why that might be, maybe because they didn't do that well. But yes, I now have a Highlanders jacket. Oh, McGrath's almost away again. The ref's getting himself slightly in the way. Proper dad gift. Yes, very practical. A wallet. Highlanders jacket, you can't go wrong. Yeah, this is true. I've been investing in a lot more Super Rugby jackets because it's, funnily enough, played in winter. So me doing videos standing here in a jersey in the middle of winter is sometimes not that pleasant. And I'm getting older. I need to keep myself warm. What channel are you watching the rugby on? Cheeky elbow, I'm in New Zealand, so this is on TVNZ Plus, fortunately, which is free, although my stream has suddenly just frozen. Did you do that? Oh, there it goes again. It was just kind of buffering for a second. Munster got a line-out throw on their own goal line. Secured, but it's... Oh, they've been driven back. That's going to be a Leinster... It's going to be a Leinster 5-metre scrum. Any plans to go to Australia for the Lions series, Kieran? I don't think it's going to happen because my in-laws are likely to be here from China at that time. The ticket prices, I looked at some of the prices for the non-test matches. They are very expensive, but you never know. I might be able to squeeze something in. Oh, Brian, mate, cheers. Thank you for that, pal. This is only water. If it was later in the day, I would give you a proper cheers with some Clippies, or I don't have any Clippies, but some proper drink. But sadly, it's just 6 past 9 a.m. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Lions series will be more competitive than we thought 6 months ago. Jezza, I agree with you. Lions will still be massive favourites, but yeah. How's Gavin Coombs playing DS? He certainly had a chance earlier. Billy Burns had a cross kick to him, which he took down the sideline, very close to Leinster's line, but his pop pass, was it to Daly, I think, came off the knees, so it was a missed opportunity. Farrell versus Schmidt, it's a big series for Irish fans, 100%. It's got the whole kind of master versus apprentice vibes, eh? Right, Munster needs a big scrum here. Still in the yellow card time. Oh, Leinster got advantage. What can Leinster do with the advantage? If they score here, this is a real... Oh, no, they've lost the ball. I was just wondering if home fans are paying more to see a game when the Lions are in town. I don't remember. I went to the Blues Lions game in 2017. I forget what I paid, but the prices I looked at for Australia, I think, were over 200 Australian dollars a ticket. And I sure as hell didn't pay that much, so I'm sure they were more expensive than before. Munster need to hold out, or they're in deep doo-doo. Whatever you paid, it was worth it. That was some game. Yeah, remember that one, huh? Yeah, Blues ended up with a famous win. Took Gaz out of that one. I think I bought his ticket as well. What a great son. Oh, that's bloody close. No, referee says short. Oh, it's messy. That's the camera angle I want to see. They get into the backs. Prendergast. He's straight through. That was too easy in the end. Big gap. Big gap. Yeah, Ehire West, man. Rian, geez, you got a better memory than me, and I was at the game. Jeez. Are you going to watch the Sharks versus Stormers? I think that game is 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty sure. Tomorrow, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is such a rough time. I think they sold like 40,000 tickets for that game, though. Stormers Sharks 4 a.m. Zebra Benetton 4 a.m. At the Edinburgh Glasgow 4 a.m. And then Connacht Ulster 8:35. Why can't they play one of these games at like 6 o'clock? Like between, anyway. Leinster have scored during the yellow card. That's pretty brutal. Yeah, I think it was 40,000. I could be mistaken, but I know they've sold a lot of tickets. Prendergast might be the real deal. I'm a little bit cautious because there's been a few Is it a few? Certainly people have told me, like not that long ago, like Harry Byrne is going to be the real deal. His brother sucks, but Harry Byrne is going to be fantastic. And thus far, that hasn't really played out. He was kind of the boy wonder for a while. And was there somebody else? I feel like there was somebody else who didn't quite pan out. But yeah, Prendergast looked alright. I think it's going to be the game of the weekend. It might be right. I've seen the lineups. Like Ox is going up against Franz Malherbe. That's worth the price of admission in itself. Was it Carberry? I don't know that it was Carberry. I feel like it was somebody else. If Andy Farrell keeps picking him, there could be some validity to the hype. Yeah. You feel like Andy Farrell's got a pretty good head on his shoulders in terms of having a eye for bringing guys in. He doesn't just, throw guys in willy-nilly. Madigan, Paddy Jackson, no, I don't think so. Oh, maybe it's Frawley. Yeah. Probably Frawley. Frawley's been a bit hot and cold, but he's also been that kind of utility guy. So it's kind of hard to say. He's never really been given the reins at 10 week in, week out, has he? I get the feeling Munster are going to go into the sheds scoreless. Good kick for touch. It would make sense if the URC games were at night to help our Southern Hemisphere brothers who want to catch a game. You need to play to your own audience first and foremost, especially seeing as there is more of an audience in the north. Like, Super Rugby has to play games at night over here because there's just, New Zealand's a bloody small country. We don't have that many eyeballs on the games. But, everyone in New Zealand would like afternoon games, but afternoon games means 4 o'clock in the morning for Europe, South Africa kind of thing. So, yeah, there's much more population in the north, so I get why the games are on at kind of crappy times for us. Too useful for his own good in terms of Frawley. Yeah, Bowden Barrett suffered for that for a while when he was first coming onto the scene. He was relegated basically to the super sub. He was kind of behind Dan Carter, everyone was behind Dan Carter, but also Aaron Cruden and whatnot, who were kind of more specialists. Irwin's in Namibia. How's it going, man? Are you having a windhoek? Games are already pretty late in South Africa. Any later in those South Africans could watch it. This match started at 9:35 in South Africa. Yeah, only the French really watch games at 9 o'clock at night. Everyone else likes to start by 7, 8 o'clock. Afternoon games interfere with local club rugby around the country on a Saturday, which is also a fact, Simon. Although I used to watch NPC rugby way back in the day in the afternoon with my parents with my dad when I would go to games. So I don't know how that worked back then. Only a minute and a half until half time. And like I said, it doesn't look like Munster's going to pick up any points. barring something of a miracle here. Leinster's just quite happy to kick down the clock until half time. Is it possible to send you some alcohol, Mark, for you and Mr. Distracted? Edwin, I don't think so. Years ago, I mentioned the fact that I'd never tried Brains beer, which I remember was always on the Welsh jerseys, and some guy was like, bro, I'll send you some Brains, and it never made it. And then also the Jaguares back in the day was sponsored by a beer company. I forget which one. An Argentinian guy was like, I'll send you some of that, and it never made it. It seems like too much of a coincidence that both these guys that sent me booze, and neither of them made it to me. I get the feeling it must be some kind of restricted thing. I would have thought they sent me a notification, like it's an 18 plus item, you need to show some ID to come collect it, but maybe there's import laws around alcohol, I'm not sure. They spread the games out over the day for TV. I would have thought so, Richard, but I just noticed that tomorrow has 3 games kicking off at the same time, which is unusual. I know the URC's got a lot more, it's got more teams than Super Rugby for sure, but in Super Rugby never plays 2 games at the same time. They usually have an early Friday and a late Friday, but I guess because New Zealand and Australia are different time zones, and then early Saturday, mid Saturday, late Saturday, and then usually sometimes one on a Sunday. I don't know. It's harder because different comps, different requirements. But yeah, it's a weird thing to play games at the same time because you force the diehards to pick one or the other, basically. Not that most people would watch more than one. Anyway. Very disappointing from a Munster fan, that half. Well, we'll have a look at the stats. I feel like there's going to be some encouraging numbers there, but the lack of ability to break that line with all those chances is brutal. NZ Customs saw Brains, so they took it for scientific purposes. Yeah, that's probably it. If Zebre drop out, who do you think is going to replace them? There's talk that it'll be another Italian team, but I don't know how that's going to work. Really enjoyed your Christmas Day post with your dad. Best of wishes for him and you recovery to full health. Thank you, Frank. My dad is doing surprisingly well for a dude who's been given a pretty rough leukemia diagnosis. Even his doctor. Do you guys have the phrase tinny or tin ass? It's not really a medical term, but even his own doctor said, geez, you're a tin ass. I've never seen anyone respond to cancer treatment, because the second time he's had leukemia, and the second time he's responded remarkably well to the treatment. Both times he's been given basically less than 50-40% chance of having any response, and both the times he seems to be doing rather well. Brains is gone. They got bought by some English company. Geez, when did that happen? You're trying to tell me I'm going to go my whole life without any brains? Heard they're going to be privately funded, unlike the previous model they have, because they think it's a bit draining on the Italian Rugby Union. Leinster seem to have gone total makeover. They used to be all flash but invulnerable, getting squeezed out. Now it's they who squeeze the life out of teams, MD. Yeah, Jacques Nienaber, I think, is probably a bit of a factor in and the defensive play that they are showing, they are certainly a tough team to break down. Yeah, for anyone who didn't see, there's news that Zebre, the URC club, might be going to go belly up because they're not making any money and they're kind of struggling. So there's speculation they might be replaced by a different team. Was it going to be an Italian team or what? Kind of remains to be said. Right, I want to have a look at these halftime stats. Yowza. First one that strikes me is turnovers conceded 9-3. Munster have dropped some ball. That's not a stat you want to be leading. Territory is 56-44 to Munster. Possessions 50-50. Line out percentage is 67% to 100%, so Munster won't be happy with that number either. But penalties conceded is 3-8, so Leinster did cop a few penalties. Okay. Doris really growing to the captaincy. Feel bad for Ryan, though. He was looking for money on like he had it to take over from Sexton. Yeah, James Ryan sometimes seems a little bit too hot-headed for captain. I don't know. There's a few times when he would take over from captaincy from Johnny, and he just seemed. I just assumed he was just kind of inexperienced at being captain and would get better at it, but it seems they've kind of just pivoted and gone towards, Caelan Doris. Who do you think is going to be the next Munster coach? I'm a little bit surprised they haven't appointed somebody already, but yeah, it seems like they've been waiting for potentially that kind of paperwork to clear, because Felix Jones, I think, has got like a stand-down period, so that would make sense if they're waiting for him. So, yeah. Mark Dunphy. Mark, man, how is it going? Long time no see. If you guys don't know, Mark sent me both these jerseys. And probably this one as well. If the Italians can't replace Zebra, they go with a Georgian team or maybe the Cheetahs from South Africa. The Cheetahs definitely need a competition. France Steyn has been pretty vocal about that. Non-committal shirt, Joseph. Yes. Yes. I figured I'd just rock the Ireland one today. I was tempted to put on Connacht, but I don't know. I have an Italian mate who loves rugby, but he lives right down south, and there is next to no rugby coverage flesh. And yeah, it's funny. I actually went to a barbecue at my mate's house maybe a month or so ago, and there was an Italian family there. They're both an Italian couple who live here in New Zealand, and I was wearing an Italian rugby jacket. Not because I wore it for them, it was just the jacket I was wearing that day. And they had no idea. And when they asked me kind of what we do, and I was talking about rugby stuff, and they had no idea. Zero. So I believe it. Apparently Ryan's been watching and learning from Sneyman on how to keep his cool. Sneyman is always involved into a bit of something, but he's always got a big smile on his face. They don't give a bollocks about rugby in Italy. It's a shame because their sports culture is awesome. I don't know if any of you guys have been to Australia, but sadly the rugby union coverage over in Australia is very similar. I've been to, I went to Melbourne back, this is a number of years ago now, but when newspapers were a thing, there was AFL, maybe that much about rugby league, and then there was maybe one little square of rugby union coverage. Everything else was just AFL. Connacht jersey would have been a great shout, yeah. After Mac Hansen's comments from last week, I was worried I'd be misinterpreted. So, Zebra are in danger of folding then. Yeah, there's been stories about Zebra potentially not getting the funding from the Italian Rugby Union next year or something. So, Italians don't give a toss about rugby, most of them. I guess it's a very niche sport in Italy. Nobody's really talking about another Irish team to potentially take over from Zebra. We give players more time. From what I read, that they were only talking about replacing the Italians with another Italian side, but I don't know. Oz is a weird one because we've the same thing with Gaelic football and soccer, but it's the rugby still well reported. Yeah, I don't know why rugby doesn't get... I mean, Australia is sports mad, but rugby league in some states is massive. AFL in some states is massive, and then cricket dominates the summer. So rugby union is just kind of the private school thing, which doesn't get much coverage. They're even asking cricketers about rugby in South Africa these days. It's all rugby all the time. Yeah, I think you guys have had a bit of a revival since the burning the jerseys days of not that many years ago. Crazy how big league is in Australia. Is it as big in New Zealand? It's an interesting one here in New Zealand because international league, nobody really gives a shit except for Tongan fans and Samoan fans. When the Tongan rugby league team is playing here in New Zealand, it's almost as big a deal as the All Blacks. We have a massive Tongan, Samoan population, especially here in Auckland. And the one professional rugby league team we have here in New Zealand, the Warriors, are definitely more popular than any Super Rugby team. But not as popular as the All Blacks. So it's kind of just because the club league team is so much more popular than any club team in rugby over here, just because Super Rugby doesn't have the same oomph like it used to. I saw the Tars versus British and Irish Lions in 2013, and that was a work trip. I was working in North Sydney. Didn't even know it was on. A real shame for the Aussies. Yeah, there's been videos where Lions tours on, and Aussies are like, geez, who are all these guys in red? Because the rugby union is just not a big thing over there. Put 2 more league sides in New Zealand and the support will thin out. That is true, Fleshen. Because we only have the one professional league team, the whole country gets behind that one league team. Whereas Super Rugby, we've got 5 teams. But also the NRL is just a much bigger competition. That's the professional rugby league competition. It's just streets ahead of Super Rugby. I did a video on it. It's probably bigger than the top 14, the URC. But that's the thing, is nobody gives a shit about international league, so it's not really comparing apples with apples. You'd have to more compare international rugby with the NRL. But anyway, the game is back on. Munster could use some points. We've got to knock on to start the half, so Munster will have a scrum. Even Russell Crowe, who's a massive league fan, owns a rugby league team, said league at international level doesn't work. Yeah, the NRL's massive, but yeah, international, like, I think the last International League World Cup host gave up on hosting it because they were just like, no, we don't have the money for this. Like, you can't imagine that happening in rugby union. Australia's not going to be like, actually, nah, we don't want to host the next World Cup because it's going to cost us a bunch of money. Oh, Munster have got a penalty at scrum time. I don't believe it. France pulled out of it. There you go, Jezza. France pulled out of hosting the League World Cup. All right, Munster are going for touch again. All right, Munster. Maul time. Oh, Leinster are offside. It's another penalty. That's their 10th of the game. International League isn't competitive like the NRL. Yeah, the NRL's massively competitive. Massive competition. Back for the penalty. Is it too late to opt for penalties? Like, Leinster are giving away a lot of penalties. Is it too late to opt for the points? Because you're 14 points down? What do they do here? What are they going to do? 5-minute tap, touch, touch, tap. Whoa, what happened there? No dummy tap. Alright, let's do that again. Should have taken the 3 once they got the player binned. Yeah, might have been able to keep the thing ticking along. Actually, even worse, before France pulled, the United States and Canada pulled out before. Okay, thank you, Simon. Oh, there's going to be another card, is there? I wonder if Union will lose the support of New Zealand ABs can't return to the top like the boxing basketball did after the US. I think the All Blacks are always going to be a big deal here. But something is still rotten at the level below it. Like Tony, who I do the podcast with, he sees a lot more people than me because his job requires him to travel and meet people all the goddamn time. And he said, he's talked about Super Rugby with people after it's like, we could be 5 rounds in and people will be like, oh, is it on? People got no idea. It doesn't bite. Whereas we've just got a new football club here in Auckland, like soccer football, which is not really that popular a game in terms of the professional game domestically here in New Zealand, and they've got the hype train going like crazy. It's another advantage for Munster. Oh my gosh, they have to score! I think they have! Is that... I can never remember if it's Ahern or Ahern. Ahern, surely. There we go. He's just got it down. Finally. Jeez, Munster needed that. New Zealand has more soccer teams than league teams, which is bonkers, Richard. Bonkers. I would have thought there's a much bigger market for a league team here than another football team. See, Mike, I could read that as Ahern or Ahern. I don't know. I think I need a memory check to remember it, because writing it down, it still looks the same. Ahern. He's the one guy that if I say his name wrong, people give me lots of corrections in the comments. I don't mind corrections, because that's how you learn, but that one seems to grind people's gears if I say it wrong. Yeah, Mike, he's a proper athlete, eh? Keith, the Fairweather rugby fan. What's wrong with the Irish jersey? Is it the wrong shade of green? How's it going, man? Ahern. Maybe the AH is the way to write it so I can remember. Ahern. Because if I just write a single A, that could be read A, it could be read A. Well, we've got a game now that Munster have scored that. If Munster get a penalty down the Leinster's ear next time, they could be justified in opting for a 3. But I don't think they will. Wrong pronunciations. You're the only punter who pronounces Kieran Frawley correctly. How else do other people say it? 2024 was a crazy one. Beat cancer though, so that's all good. Bro, that's a hell of an achievement. My dad is currently in the process of doing the same, so bro, massive. Massive. Keyrawn. Jeez, okay. Haven't met a Kiwi who isn't an AB's fan. It's just what you're known for. Yeah, exactly. The All Blacks still have the ability to draw in people who are not rugby fans. Oh, there's a bit of handbags. People asking each other what they had for breakfast. I had Weet-Bix. Cornflakes. That's got the crowd into it. I think The handbags is going to work in Munster's favour, not Leinster's favour. It's going to fire the crowd up. Japanese League One hasn't found a New Zealand broadcaster this year. I think it's I think they've got doing. Isn't Rugby Pass doing the one free game a week? I tried to look for it last week, but admittedly I couldn't find it. Do a quick review of the game. Of the half so far, or of the game. First half was dominated by Leinster's defence. Munster missing opportunities or not being able to crack Leinster's defence. Leinster scored a couple of tries when they did get down Munster's end, although they conceded a ton of penalties. Second half meant Leinster's penalty count has continued to rise, but Munster actually managed to score a try. Just barely, but they got it. Handbags and no Peter Imani or Achia Sneidman. Yeah, that's what I mean. Surprising. Jimmy O'Brien can't take the ball above his shoulder, and it has gone into touch. I once met a Kiwi who hated rugby when I stayed in a hostel. There's probably a few of them as well, that's true. Ugh, that pass was above his head. No worries, Dimitar. Munster have a good chance of coming back into this one. You might be right. They're at home. Crowd's fired up. If they keep giving away penalties... Oh, geez, that looks cold. The steam coming off the scrum is... Yeah, the picture I'm seeing doesn't match the sun that I can see outside my window. It's nice and warm here. Plus, there's a South African who I work with who doesn't follow it either. Oh, Leinster got themselves a penalty. Yeah, my last job that I worked at was at the local university here. Most of my colleagues were from India and the Philippines. Virtually none of them cared about rugby, although the Filipino lady, her husband, which was also a Filipino dude, he got into rugby through his work. So she would still go to the odd All Blacks game. But if you asked her to name an All Black, I don't think she would have been able to do it. There was one South African guy in my office who also didn't care about rugby. And it took, I think at the 2019 World Cup, one of my workmates was like, wait, did I see you on YouTube making a video about Japan and Ireland? So yeah. Man, if Leinster score here, it's going to be rough for Munster because I think this is their first 22 entry. It's scrappy. Oh, Van der Fleer! Oh my goodness me. That's a good try. But what the hell happened? I looked like Munster had turned it over for a second. Was that just popped from the deck? Hey, Josh Van der Fleer. I swear that's their first entry Into the 22 this half. Well, that's a steeper mountain to come back now for Munster. Problem with Irish names is that people try to say them as if they're written in English, but they're in the Irish language. Yep, I get that as well. That's like many names, I guess. Like Pacific Island. Oh, it's like Burns just knocked it on. Pacific Island names have a kind of way of being said as well, but if you just pronounce it like you were reading an English name, there's certain letters that you put hard sounds on which aren't really there. Ay, ay, ay. Is my stream behind or what? I don't know. Looks like Hanson's point about Leinster is being made even more true. Did anything happen with him? Did he get banned or what? I didn't read anything about it. I feel bad for Snaman and Ireland no pronouncing that right. Yeah, everyone just calls him RG. RG. I'm sure he's used to it. Yeah, I watched that Hansen press conference. It was, yeah, he was fired up. I didn't 100% agree with him. I got what he was trying to say. When he was like, oh, nothing ever goes our way, I was like, well, I watched that game you just played and some of the calls went your way. But I get what he's saying. Even if he says nothing, he means generally. As a Leinster fan, I agree with him, yeah. I think it's a thing. I agree with him generally as well that a lot of the time bigger reputation teams get the calls. That's just the way things go. It was very entertaining at the least, Rian. Exactly. We don't usually get that kind of stuff from rugby players, do we? If Connor were at home, they would get most of the calls. Yeah, home teams certainly, I think, generally get the advantage. I have to run some stats on it at some point. I think I did way years ago. I ran some stats on it after. I think there was some game where I think it was the Melbourne Rebels went to South Africa and the penalty count was like 20-2 or something. Something crazy, and there was a South African ref in charge of a South African team in Super Rugby, and then there was this big outcry about South African refs refereeing home teams being a bad thing. I remember doing a video on it, but I don't remember what the conclusion was. I think I looked at New Zealand refs refereeing New Zealand teams at home, Aussie refs refereeing, something like that. I have to go back and watch it. It's probably like a 5-year-old video by now. 22-6 for the Lions. There you go. Jeez, Rian's got the memory of all memories. Or you just Googled it. No, I'll believe in your memory, Rian. You remember, saved the game for you. I forget who the ref was. Oh, come on, Munster, man. Sometimes those final passes just not clicking. It's a hard pass. It's right at his knees. I'm sure teams playing in Connacht have a different point of view of what hands. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, every fan base thinks that there are calls which didn't go for them. But Otto, man, yeah, long time no see. How's things been going? We've said the same thing about the Crusaders in the past, by the way, that the Crusaders, the Crusaders always get all the calls, especially at home, blah, blah, blah. Do you think Prendergast is a future World 10 mark? I mean, he looks pretty good from what I've seen of him thus far. I mean, he's certainly not been perfect in any of the games I've seen him, but he's looking alright. Could be a guy who goes further, for sure. But it's a hard one to, like the potential thing is a hard one to gauge, eh? But certainly from what I've seen of him, he's looked very comfortable, which is always a good sign. Been another great year of rugby, it has. Oh, no penalty for Munster. I thought they might have been going to get one at scrum time there, but they're going to reset it. Barring injuries, yes, Prendergast is the real deal. That's true. There are certain guys who you think, I mean, Pat Lambie is the one guy I always think if he'd had fewer injuries, could have been a great, but geez, he was always injured. He needs to put on a few kgs. He's still really young, right? Imagine every player crying and swearing in a post-match conference because you didn't get a 50-50 call and felt wronged. Rugby is a game where you're just not going to get some of the calls. I generally think most of the time things kind of even out, but there are exceptions for sure. Munster put a decent enough kick through. "21 years old, yeah, he's still got some bulk to put on for sure." And they could use a line out still here. Here we go. Doris is a bit upright, but geez, he's got that leg drive just to keep going. Other players there would have got held up in the tackle, but nope. Just keeps bloody going. Until Prendergast plays top teams like Toulouse or La Rochelle, there's no judging him. He's looking like most players when playing. Yeah, that's a fair point, Owen. I mean, even Ross Byrne at times looks world class when he's playing for Leinster, right? So we'll see how he goes. What do you think of the Ladies Rugby World Cup that's on next year, Richard, I think England are going to be very hard to beat. England only just lost the last one away from home, despite having a red card for the vast majority of the game. Since then, they've gone this year and literally won every single game. I mean, Canada gave them a bit of a scare, but it's hard to see them losing. Ross Byrne is on Munster by 50. And here there is Ross Byrne. Prendergast is off. 17 minutes for Ross. Prendergast shouldn't follow Jez's example. Down 50 kegs. 50 kegs is a lot, man. You can give a few of those to Sam. 50, that's a hell of an effort, though. You must feel a lot better. Truthfully, none of the Burns have ever looked world-class potential. A lot of people were telling me that Harry was going to be massive, but it hasn't quite happened. Thankfully, this game is on free here in New Zealand on TVNZ. I'm not sure if VPNs work with TVNZ, but it is on free. They show half the URC games for free. Stormers versus Sharks prediction for tomorrow. Given that the Stormers are at home, I would lean towards the Stormers, but I feel a bit wrong backing the Stormers this year because they have been sketchy. Hope your dad has been doing good too since rugby. Yeah, man, he's doing really well. I saw him yesterday. I went around to his place for dinner. He's doing really well. That pass look forward. Not given. I'd love to know Premier Sports viewership numbers. I bet there's only like 250 people paying for it. Do the Premier Sports have any other sports, or is it just rugby? Here in Ireland, all Munster, Leinster, Connacht games are free to air. That's great. We do not have that here in New Zealand. I honestly feel like the fact that the Super Rugby is pretty much 100% behind a paywall is part of the reason the game's not that popular. People don't want to pay hundreds of dollars to watch it. Like, I pay $400 a year. So, yeah, she's expensive. I've never had VPNs worked well with TV. I've had VPNs never worked well with TVNZ from my experience. That sucks. Some sites do block them, sadly. They have exclusive URC, NHL, and NASCAR. That's a pretty niche set of sports in the UK. Same problem here in South Africa. It's really expensive. Yeah. At least in Australia, Stan Sports puts at least, I think, one game a week on free-to-air. I feel like New Zealand could do that with Super Rugby. There's enough games on. I don't think Conor Murray's playing today. Jezza. Sky Sports gone up to $500 now, says Simon. I bought it when it was on the Black Friday deal, so I got it for, I think, $3.99 because I am stingy. Here in Ireland and the UK, Premier Sports shows top 14 URC Champions Challenge, Rugby, Leicestershire Football, GAA, NFL. That's not bad. I mean, Sky, the one I'm watching on for most of the games, not this, but most of the other rugby, they've got a sugar load of sport. Like, if you wanted to watch Premier League, ice hockey, I think NFL, NBA, like rugby league, rugby union, they've got most of the big sports that are popular in this part of the world. Formula One, like they've got a lot of sport. But they are expensive. Not stingy, they're pricing the shit out of it all. Yeah, I know. If you can save a buck, why not, right? Oh, Leinster got a penalty at the breakdown. Do you feel like that's going to be... That might be it for Munster. Shame in the UK how Premier and USC aren't on the same channel. Yeah, having to buy multiple subscriptions does suck. Still watching the hockey. I've been following it a bit. The team I follow has been doing awful, so I'll admit I'm following less this year. Sky Open had the Saturday night 7 game live, but it was in the... They had ad breaks in it and major game go longer. Okay, that's unfortunate as well. When Connacht hosts Munster, it'll be at the GAA Stadium. Is that because the sports ground is still doing the renovations? Oh, man, Leinster chasing a bonus point, aren't they? Here goes Jimmy O'Brien. Oh, brought down. I think there's the bigger crowd, some more money. Oh, fair enough. How many does the other stadium hold in Galway? Supersport is expensive. They have everything except the top 14 non-South African games in the Challenge Cup. Yeah, Otto, it's a very similar deal with Sky over here. Around 30k, right? That's a lot more than the sports ground. What's on McGrath's going? I quite like McGrath. I think he's doing alright. That Crusaders Munster game was in a GAA stadium. The atmosphere was rocking. Irish crowds do seem to do pretty well in terms of atmosphere. Although people say the Leinster home crowds are sometimes too quiet. Is this game done? Does anyone see Munster scoring 2 tries to even this up? Or is this more about whether Leinster can get a bonus point or not? It feels like the latter. Here in Ireland, GAA is our national sport over rugby and football, etc. Yeah, I've heard that it's massive over there, but it's still fully amateur, eh? Sean reckons it's about the bonus point. Simon says Sky has a lot, but they are cutting back. Yeah, they don't have the Premiership anymore. They used to show Premiership rugby, but they don't have that. Oh, Leinster got advantage. Surely they're going to score here. GA players do alright with sponsorships. Okay. Back for the penalty. Irish games in the Aviva aren't great. Stadium's like a graveyard. Adam, what's it like having Christmas in summer? Is it weird when all the movies have snow associated with it? We get used to it, I guess. All the media about Christmas is very frosty, and yet we're out having barbecues and going to the beach. So yeah, it's a weird one. You do feel sorry for the guys who are in the Santa suits, you know, prior to Christmas at like shopping malls and stuff, not doing the photos with the kids. That's got to be hot. But, yeah, full Christmas suit, big old white beard. I guess thankfully we have air conditioning these days, so, yeah. Cheers, Adam. What's it like when the water goes down the drain anti-clockwise? It's good. It goes down really well. I like it. That's the bonus point. Kaylin Bloody Doris. Yep, Leinster are a good side. Is Ross Byrne going to kick the conversion, which is pretty kickable? Doris probably Lions captain? I would say so, if he's fit, eh? Andy Farrell's going to want to go with someone he knows, and someone who's more or less a guaranteed starter. Yep, he's got it, so it's 7 points to 28. What internet are you guys rocking in the suburbs of Auckland? Have you been fibered up? Yeah, we've been on fiber for years. I think since 2019, I've been on fiber. When I first started this channel, it was still on broadband, and it used to take like half an hour to upload a video instead of, you know, like a minute. Lions squad prediction video after the Six Nations? Probably. I'll pick my own squad. Those videos are always funny because nobody can agree with who should go. Yeah, if you want to get an interesting comment section, just pick a Lion squad, basically. Who's standing in as Munster head coach? That's the assistants, I think. Yeah, Rian's got the rules only after the Six Nations. Can't do any Lions predictions beforehand. It's too early. I like to do it with some stats. So Six Nations stats are going to be the most relevant. Every time a Lions squad gets picked, there's some pissed off Scots and Irish. It's the rules. Not just them. I remember English fans who are not usually that easy to piss off. When I picked Hamish Watson ahead of Tom Curry one year, were like, what? Are you insane? Hamish Watson sucks. And I was like, no, he doesn't. Well, that might have been for a Six Nations team of the tournament. I can't remember. Thoughts about Zebra maybe knocking over Benetton? I reckon Benetton will play better this week. Hey, Mark, keep up the great work. Not really looking forward to your reviewing this. I don't know. I haven't, maybe because I've been chatting away to you guys. I haven't taken that many notes. I can usually get 3/4 of a page. I've only done half a page on this game because I guess it's not been like that controversial. Don't know. Can you see any Welsh players making the cut? Jack Morgan maybe goes in the squad, but does he play? I doubt it. In the test, he plays midweek. Jack Morgan, Thomas Williams, yeah, exactly. But it depends on injuries and stuff. Those guys could get injured beforehand. Jordan Lama's on. Leinster have had all the ball in the last 10 minutes, and there's another try coming. You can feel it. The referee's blowing his whistle. He's going to have a look at something. First TMO of the night, Kieran. Yeah, maybe. The referee did have a brief check with the TMO about a tackle earlier, that it wasn't high, but that's pretty much it. Will we see a grounding? There's a body in the way. Prendergast got man of the match. 10s always get man of the match. But he's had a good game. Can't see any grounding there. Nah, I can't give that. I agree with Birch. Surely you can't give that. Ooh, maybe this angle. But there's a leg in the way. Only thing missing is some Vailima. Man, I have to get me some Vailima. I haven't had that for years. That stuff always hits me like a ton of bricks. Not a lot of beers will get me quickly drunk, but Vailima is one. Yeah, maybe they are going to give it. No evidence. Yeah, I would have thought it was going to go no evidence based on there's no super clear look. Barra, how's the game? Going good, man. This game's been pretty comfortable for Leinster. They had to make a lot of defensive work in the first, but very hard team to break down. Munster got it back to 14-7 early on in the second, but Leinster have never really looked like losing this one. One minute to play. Oh, scrappy. Mike is disappointed with the Munster performance. Yeah, I can understand that, man. At home, you want to be getting closer than this. Bonus point loss is not going to be flash. Another big shift from Porter. Yeah, he's played a lot of minutes in this game as well, hasn't he? Any interest in the darts on at the moment? I don't follow darts, funnily enough. I used to smoke some darts, but that's been a while ago as well. The defense has been Leinster's main weapon, not the attack, Sean, is probably a pretty good summary. There's a few seconds to go. Will Leinster just kick it out? No, they're going to keep playing. They want more points? Surely just kick it out. You got the bonus point. What else do they want? Oh, the refs has just told them time was up, so maybe now they'll kick it out. No, we're going to keep playing. Smoke darts, yeah, a long time ago. Oh, cheers, Barra, mate. Sorry, this is water rather than something a bit tastier, but it is still only 10 in the morning. Thank you, mate. Season's greetings to you. Thank you for the support. Oh, man. Big Leinster line break just shut down. No wonder they wanted to keep playing. They want another try. They're going to rub salt in the wound. But yeah, cheers, Barra. Oh, Munster have just nicked it. Kick it out. Kick it out. That's the game. Well, it wasn't really like an edge of your seat dramatic finish to the game, but it's a pretty bloody impressive defensive shift from Leinster. Munster fans obviously won't be happy with that. They had some chances in the first half, but man, Leinster's a hard team to score tries against. What can you say? But yeah, thank you guys for being along at this kind of festive time of year. It's been good to watch a bit of rugby. Been a while since we've done a live stream, so good to catch up with all of you folks. And Brian's going to go have a surf tomorrow. Sounds like a good plan. Cheers, Rian. Good to see you, man. First time watching along. Enjoyed this, even though Munster. Yeah, sorry about that one, man. Probably not the easiest watch from a Munster perspective, but it was good to have a chat with you all. I'm going to quickly wrap up this game in a video, look at some stats, and then probably take my kids to pick some strawberries because they're on school holidays. My wife's on holiday. So, yeah, that's it. All right, folks, take care of yourselves. And, yeah, I'll see you guys again for another one at some point soon. Take care.